Time now to take a look at some of the craziness at our nation's colleges and other schools. A new program at Duke University aims to provide male-identified students with a safe space where they can contemplate their toxic masculinity. According to the website Heat Street, the program is a 9-week course called the Duke Men's Project and will discuss male privilege, patriarchy, the language of dominance, rape culture, pornography, machismo, and other topics. An editorial in the school newspaper titled Engendering Gender Harmony notes that it is, quote, not a re-education camp being administered by an oppressed group in the service of the feminization of American society, end quote. However, a male student who supports the program told Heat Street that the program will help men, quote, proactively deconstruct our masculinity, end quote. And Duke isn't the only university on the defense from accusations of re-educating students. A recent graduate of Columbia University says he was forced to go through re-education from the university's official gender-based misconduct office because he once referred to himself as handsome in class. The graduate wrote about his experience in The Tab, a website for freelance journalism, but waited until he was no longer a student to publish his account. The comment, which apparently offended another student, led to meetings with the professor and the dean, in addition to the gender-based misconduct office. An official at the school told Fox News it wouldn't comment on this individual case, but noted that, quote, the school takes gender-based misconduct very seriously. As Halloween approaches, some universities have taken steps to combat offensive costumes. Penn State University launched a poster campaign called We're a Culture, Not a Costume. The posters feature minority students holding pictures of costumes they consider offensive to their heritage. The University of Wisconsin-La Crosse has also taken measures to combat offensive costumes. The Ethnic and Racial Studies Department has plans to host a student meeting titled, Is Your Costume Racist? Representatives from Penn State and the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse said the initiatives are not meant to ban costumes, but simply to inform students about what might be considered offensive. And a student at Manville High School in New Jersey says he was suspended and told to undergo a psychological exam for a class project in which he expressed views against gun control. According to the Newark Star-Ledger, the student refused to see the psychologist and dropped out of the high school. The superintendent of the school district denies any wrongdoing and accused the student and his family of taking advantage of laws that prevent the district from commenting on the suspension. If you've got a campus craziness story, let us know. Email us and tell us about it, campuscraziness@foxnews.com. We'd appreciate hearing from you. Now, here to react to all of that stuff is the co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend, my friend Tucker Carlson. So, Tucker,
Brent,
what is going on here?
Well, as someone who's lived in Washington for most of his life, the first thing I think when I see these stories is conservatives here in the district have spent the last 20 years really focused on things like tax rates. And sort of the assumption was, well, the evangelicals will handle the social issues. You know, those matter less. Those are secondary issues. And it turns out they're primary issues. If you allow the lunatics to define what, for example, the family unit is to your own children, you're going to wind up with a deeply dysfunctional society. So this sort of thing is the kind of thing I think that we should have been paying a lot more attention to in years earlier.
What, because it produces generations of students who... What?
Who don't understand what makes society stable and prosperous. So if you make a list of the most basic questions in life, they're not, what's the capital gains tax? They really are questions like, should you get married before having children? That's like the most basic question any society asks itself, and yet it's one that our public intellectuals rarely debate, and so it's left to sort of third-rate minds at our universities to tell our kids the answer. And of course, their answer is very different from, I think, the right answer. And it also allows people in colleges, professors in colleges, to do things like, I don't know, redefine, the biological reality of gender and pretend it doesn't exist. This has long-term ramifications that I don't think we're thinking through. And most people sort of in our world are like, it's crazy, but it'll go away. It won't go away. If your children grow up learning that there's no actual distinction between men and women, what does that mean long-term?
Speaking of which, I want you to help me with something that was altogether new to me, but I'm told this idea has been around a while. Let's put it up on the screen. There are people who want to be referred to not as he or she or him or her, but Z and Zer. Now, I hardly know what to say about this. Can you explain what this is all about? I mean, and how to use these terms in a sentence, perhaps?
I can't, and I don't plan to learn, and it's very easy to dismiss because it's so prima facie ludicrous. These are children sort of playing at language. It's sort of the French Revolution idea. We're going to make it up anew. But here's what I think they're not thinking through, the proponents of this. if your sex is what you say it is, if there's no sort of basis in biological reality, what would prevent me, if convicted of a felony, from saying, you know what, I don't want to serve time in a men's prison. I demand to go to a women's prison. I mean, what would be the argument against me? Or as a business owner, why shouldn't I be eligible for, I don't know, women-owned business grants that the Small Business Administration gives to women-owned businesses? Because I'm now a woman.
Because and you're a woman because you just announced that you're a woman.
And on what basis can you deny me that grant? If the criterion for being as a woman is saying you're one, and that appears to be the kind of working definition we're going with now under the Obama administration, think this through. I mean, this is going to completely alter the world that we live in, and possibly not in a good way. And I don't think its advocates have really kind of gamed it out at all. They're just kind of playing around, but this stuff has consequences long term for sure.
Tucker, thank you, Zer.
Thank you, Z. I appreciate it.